Danny Jimenez asks, hey Jimmy, what did you have for breakfast? Eggs. I eat eggs for breakfast pretty much every day. What's going on, guys? Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you another SR4U Q A video. Your questions, my answers to them, with all the questions being pulled from my Instagram, which is SR4U_Josh. You'll see it on screen right now. So if you're not following me already and you'd like to ask a question for the next Q&A video, make sure you go and do that. It's linked down below. Also, if you guys enjoyed the Q&A series on the channel and want to see it continue, please support this one with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on future content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. Tom Goddard asks, best options for football boots for 100 pounds or less. I guess if you want examples of boots that are readily available at those prices, pretty much any of the pro tier takedown models within the Nike brand are right around that price point, and I think are really solid boots. But in general, if you're on a budget and you have about 100 pounds to spend, which is basically like 120, 130 US dollars, I would recommend checking out either the Super Deals or the European Super Deals page on my website, SoccerReviewsForYou.com. Both of those will be linked down below. Basically, what I do is I compile all of the best deals and I put them together on one page in terms of what's available right now. So US retailers are on the regular Super Deals page, and then obviously European-based retailers are on the European Super Deals page. So if you're looking for a good deal, those are definitely the places to check out. I realize that sounds like a big plug, and it is, but really, guys, if you want the best possible value for money football boots when you're on a budget, your best value for money option is typically going to be a higher end model that's on sale. Chris Arroyo asks, hey Jimbo, do you think Adidas will kill the Nemesis line? It certainly doesn't look that way, because we have already seen several pros wearing a blacked out variation of what looks to be the next generation Nemesis in training. So it looks like there's going to be, let's say, a Nemesis 19 generation, because that is very likely what they're going to call it if it comes out in the next couple of months. And based on the pictures, it's always hard to say how a boot's going to fit or feel based on pictures, but they do look to be a lot thinner and just more streamlined than the first two generation of Nemesis boots. If you're asking my honest opinion, I think they should kill off the Nemesis line, and kill it off in the sense that the third generation Nemesis, I think Adidas would probably be better off calling it something else, because I don't think there's a lot of value to the Nemesis name at this point. But these guys, these big brands, they plan stuff out well in advance, so it's probably still going to be called the Nemesis, and it looks like we are going to get a third generation. Young J Rab asks, hey Josh, how do you know what lace measurements you need for your cleats? This is actually a question that I get a lot, and I don't think I've ever answered in video form, so I'm going to answer it. So let's say hypothetically you needed some new laces for your boots, because there was a really cool brand out there that made some awesome laces that gave you a performance advantage, made you faster, jump higher, score more goals, all that great stuff. And let's say hypothetically that website was SR4ULaces.com. They make regular length and they make junior length laces. Which ones do you actually need for your boots? Well, take your boots, remove the stock laces, measure those laces, then go to SR4ULaces.com, and on each individual product page, depending on what lace that you're looking at, there is a specific measurement for that product. So you can match it up with the laces that you currently have in your boots and have an idea of what proper length you need. And then when you go to make your order, just remember that you get free worldwide shipping on any order of $16.99 or more. Peachy9 asks, favorite boot that is not in your collection? I recently made a video on the one boot that I really want in my collection but do not have, mainly due to the fact that they're just extremely expensive in the resale market, and that is the Nike Mercurial Carbon SLs, the full carbon fiber boot with the small pink Nike swoosh. I think those are really cool, so that would be definitely number one on the list. I'm also a really big fan of a lot of the Vapor 4 colorways. I'd love to have a pine green pair. I'd love to have the Euro pair, the brown with the blue sole plate. I always thought those were really cool. I really like the white ones with the blue stripe. I also am a big fan of the pink ones, the Rosas, Pink Berry, whatever you want to call them. And I think the main reason why I'm into Vapor 4 so much is that was kind of the Mercurial for me growing up as a kid. It was the first high-end pair of Mercurial Vapors that I had. So I have a lot of fond memories of some of those boots. I'd also really like to have the original white, silver, and red kangaroo leather variation of the T90 Laser 2, just because I had a pair of those as a kid. I'd also like the Ronaldinho Dois, or the second Ronaldinho. I don't know how to say it. I don't really speak Portuguese that well. if it is Portuguese. I think it is though. And then some of the older Predator models and different colorway variations. I don't think you can ever have too many different Predator Manias. I only have them in one color. I'd like to have them in a couple extra, the F50 Plus. It's mostly just colorway variations that I'd like to have, not so much specific boots. But if there was one specific boot I really want that I don't have, it is that Mercurial Carbon SL. That got rambly. I feel like I missed something. Hey Jeremy, what's your favorite name that anyone has ever given you? There's been a lot of them, but there is one that stands out, and I saw it several months ago. I wish I could credit the guy who commented this, but it's stuck in my head ever since just because I thought it was that good, and it was George Joshington. It's the right combination of being nice and simple, easy to say, and just very clever all at the same time. Matt Benton asks, I've recently broke my ankle. Are there any boots which will help protect this when I return to playing? Not really. There's a difference between ankle support and ankle stability. You can have proper stability from a pair of football boots, and some might be better than others for you specifically depending on how they fit you, but there really isn't any specific football boot out there, mid-cut or low, that actually provides any kind of ankle support, because the goal of the collar is never to restrict the movement of your ankle. If you're looking for ankle support, wearing a brace, which I would not necessarily recommend, but taping your ankles is definitely going to be very effective. A lot of professional players do this, and I would personally just kind of go with what your doctor tells you to do during the rehabilitation recovery process, and as long as you've done all of that correctly, I don't think the specific pair of boots that you're going to wear when returning from injury is really going to matter all that much, as long as they fit you properly. Renzo Redis asks, are you against people leaking future boot models through photos online? I totally understand that leaking information is a huge part of the news industry these days, and I guess when it comes to football boots specifically, it's out there. If you're on social media doing any kind of research on football boots, you pretty much can't avoid the leaks. You're going to see them. And I get why it's interesting. I get why people want information as early as possible. I see it all myself. So for those of you guys that message me the leaks thinking that I haven't already seen it, trust me, I've seen it. You don't need to message me. But I guess the main reason why I don't participate in leaking a lot of this information on unreleased product is because I do work very closely with a lot of these different brands and retailers. And some of those relationships, as it is, can be a little bit rocky depending on how the reviews I put out are. Because when the product's not good, I'm going to say it's not good, regardless of whether or not I have a relationship with Adidas or Nike, whatever brand it might be. So sometimes they like me a little bit more than other times, depending on how the product is. But I think what a lot of people have to realize, and what I've come to realize, is that there are teams of people developing these products. And imagine working on something for a year that you're super excited to kind of surprise everyone with, and then the information gets leaked and it's not really a surprise anymore. It makes basically these new releases kind of underwhelming, because if you follow the leaks, you more or less know what's coming 2 or 3 months before it actually happens. And the element of surprise, I think, is something that is very interesting. So for me, it's just not something that I really agree with. I don't like spoiling the surprise. I don't really feel the need to speculate on unreleased product. I will say that it's totally fair game when we see pictures of pros training in prototype boots, blackouts, even when they wear colorways a couple days too soon. If that gets posted on social media of them playing in a match or playing in training, that's fair game. I don't consider that to be a leak at all. But when people are posting pictures of the catalog for product that's supposed to come out 9 months from now, I don't really care for that. I guess it's cool to get an early look at certain products, especially the ones that we're really excited about. But in general, until the product is actually out and I can try it myself, I don't really care too much about what's happening beforehand. Phase 1 asks, Jackson, what boot inspired you to start collecting? This is a tough question because I don't think that there was one specific pair of boots that made me decide I want to start collecting football boots. It kind of just got to the point where I was doing product reviews and it was something that I now had an invested interest in, so I figured having a collection just kind of went along with that. But I guess if there's one pair of boots from my childhood that I specifically remember as kind of standing out, the first pair of, I guess, really nice football boots that I took note of was on a shopping trip where I saw a pair of black and white Nike Air Zoom T92s. I saw the high-end model in a store. Up until that point, I honestly didn't really care too much about boots or didn't pay that much attention to them. But at however old I was, I want to say probably 8 or 9 years old, I saw these boots on the shelf, held them in my hands, and I just thought they were the coolest thing ever. They were like $200, so my parents obviously weren't buying them for me, but those are boots that I remember distinctly as being the first ones that were really nice that I took note of and said, hey, I'd like to have a pair of those someday. Gyro, do you think that any brand will reach the same level as Nike, Adidas, and Puma and be classed as one of the big brands? The short answer to that question is probably not. And I guess a more detailed answer would be that Nike and Adidas are far and away the two big brands. You can kind of classify Puma as third, but it is a very distant third place. I think that there is definitely, amongst the smaller brands, a potential to grow a little bit and maybe come in the same range as Puma, but I think that's about as far as any of the smaller brands will ever get in the space of football boots, at least over, I don't know, let's say the next 20 years or so. I think the only way that somebody could really break into the market and become one of the big brands is if they came out with something that was truly revolutionary and they had some kind of a patent or copyright on it where nobody else could do that exact thing. I don't see that happening pretty much ever. I don't think that there's anything out there that could really be that good, but that to me would kind of be the only way. Otherwise, Nike and Adidas will remain on top for pretty much as long as they want to be. C. Olbrin asks, hey Jacariah. Almost every shoe has some sort of cushion, whether Adidas has Boost or Nike has React and Zoom, but they are never put into cleats. Why is that? I think most of you already know this, but for those that don't, the Adidas Predator 18 Plus and 19 Plus, and technically the A17 Plus Pure Control before them, do feature Boost insoles with another thin layer of Boost, basically from the forefoot forward. It's very thin, and as I've talked about in pretty much every review that I've done of any of these models, it's not really effective in terms of underfoot cushioning. The Boost insole ends up just feeling like a regular thin foam insole that you get on any pair of football boots. But I think the main reason why brands like Nike and brands like Adidas with these kind of flagship cushioning systems that you see across other forms of footwear, the reason why they haven't implemented it on football boots is because, one, it doesn't end up being that effective. It's more of a marketing gimmick than anything. And then from the perspective of marketing, that's the big reason I would say, is that it's very difficult to get people excited about this. So for them to spend the money on the whole research and design of incorporating these materials to the inside of the boots, something that, by the way, you cannot see, people just don't get excited about that kind of thing. They get excited about what you can actually see on the boot from the outside. The inside doesn't matter quite as much. So I think that's the main reason. It's just not something that they're able to make exciting for people, which I guess makes a lot of sense. I'd love to see some kind of interesting development as far as insole technology is concerned, but I think that's the main reason why. It's just too hard to get people to actually care about it. Matt Miller asks, do you think there could be a chance in the future where one of the brands implement a, so to speak, self-cooling system in the boot? If you're talking about actual fans, probably not. Maybe a material that has some kind of cooling properties to it, if such a material exists and would actually work in the form of a football boot. Maybe that's a possibility. We did just see Adidas implement a Primaloft lining material on a special pack designed for winter use when it's nice and cold to keep your feet warm. But Adidas has done some stuff in the past as far as ventilation is concerned. They had a bunch of climate chill variations of all kinds of different boots, F50 Tune-It uppers. There were even some Predator Power Swerve models, if I remember correctly, that actually had full ventilation to them. I think there was a Beckham colorway that I'm thinking of. It was white and dark blue, maybe black. That's the one that comes to mind. So it is something that has been played around with in the past. But the general consensus, based on what I could tell in terms of the response for those particular products, is that yes, while there was a ventilation aspect to it, whenever you have extra ventilation, it means that water can get inside of the boots very, very easily. And given that you do play this sport in the rain on wet fields pretty frequently, a lot of people would just rather have their feet be dry rather than slightly cooler than normal. Hey Joe, what's your favorite boot from Adidas over the last 10 years? I can't name one because I suck at doing that, but I'm gonna name every single one that comes to mind. The Adidas Predator Adi Power I really liked. The 2014 F50 Adi Zero I really liked. The Adidas Predator Instinct I was a big fan of. The current X18.1 I really liked. I also really like the X17 Plus Pure Speed, and I guess you could link kind of throw in the X16 Plus as well because they're basically the same thing. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, guys, that's it for yet another SR4U Q&A. If you guys enjoyed the video, please support it with a like. And again, if you'd like to ask a question for the next Q&A video, go follow me on Instagram, SR4U_Josh. It'll be linked down below in the description. If you have any questions regarding any of the topics that I discussed in today's video, leave it down below in the comments and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.